Hi, everyone. Welcome to Navigating the Now. It's October 29th. This is Kir Noel, medical intuitive. You know me from my podcast, How We Heal, and other areas. Um, you know me from my podcast, How We Heal. Good reply again. You can work with me by going to healingabody.com. The idea that our mental health is at risk is part of my ongoing cause to be here, my reason to be here. I'm hearing and seeing every day on many platforms, media, and social sites these giant proclamations of what's wrong with someone or someone else or some group, kind of incredible allegations that, if told in a grounded way with some factual basis, might bear out as having truth in them. To me, these are big red flags of not for me. If you're drawn to anything filled with wild claims and descriptions that defy reality, these can be easily creating noise in your mind and limiting your intuition. And in short, they have captured your mind a little bit and created some power over you. So today we're going to talk about this idea that is so recognizable, and especially recognizable to my generation who grew up without internet or social media. The information I had around me with the New York Times, the Post, WBAI radio, which still exists, the Encyclopedia Britannica, and the 6 p.m. nightly news were made to reflect a factual narrative, which is astounding when you think of what news has sort of become, which is more entertainment. This week's show will focus on the importance of choice making in your media and any communication. I'm a very curious person by nature, so I'd like to sample a lot of resources and get knowledge about the world and my community. That said, um, I've pared down what I will look at for myself. I've done things very specifically. So I have chosen 3 online teachers. They're very uplifting for me. That's someone with a certain age, and this is how I choose, with a certain age in life as being someone with wisdom and can teach me. I love listening to younger ideas too. So I'll check out a Reddit chain, which I've discovered through my children, my adult children, and research a topic I want to learn more about, because what young people are talking about is, basically everything that we need to talk about. I'll also currently be listening to a news station from another country. I'm listening to the BBC. It's a completely different take, an international take on what we are experiencing here, which, has, a broader view, which I really need. I do then read one newspaper online. I'm currently digesting the New York Times cover every morning. And it also could just be a local paper, because local news is my community's news. And then I choose 2 topical podcasts that's very related to where I am in my life. So I'm very curious about politics and culture and technology. So I'm looking for those kinds of voices. That's it. That's the menu for Kir Noel. I am happy to say I'm very discriminating. These things I'm looking at validate my own ability to have my own critical thinking. The idea of critical thinking, I think, is such a novel concept today. I'm not sure that the teachings and probably at the university level, critical thinking is very magnified. But when we are in the lower teaching modules, high school, junior high, grade school, for me, that's where critical thinking starts. So I'm hoping that that piece of information, that view, that way of thinking is starting to be presented at the very early stages. Um, and and this presents to me, as much as I can tell, these things I'm choosing factual news. It's pretty simple. It's up to me what I ingest. It's just like food I eat, and what I listen to is so important. So perhaps some of you will send me a comment, what you do listen to and read. I'd love to hear from you. So you can go to my website, healingabody.com. You can contact here and let me know what it is you are listening to and reading. I'm open to new ideas and new information. So the key, and how I made these distinctions, is that I ask myself if the source I have reminds me of that drunk family member at a party that I stay away from, then I stay away from it. So there are a lot of things in this world right now that are, drunk with belief systems that are very slanted, very controlling, and extreme. So I'm not at all drawn to that at this point in my life. I've, lived long enough to kind of now avoid drama and extremism. So this is the part of my show where I remind us to stay connected to who we are and to practice in a daily way to stay in that connection. So how did I do that today? I want to share that with you. What I did today was a very, very short, calm, quiet time on my meditation cushion. By no means does anyone need a meditation cushion. You can sit on a couch, you can stand in the shower and connect. There's no formality to any of this. There's tremendous amount of idea around a structure that has to be one way or a specific way or an ideological way. And I personally don't feel that that's the case. I've explored a lot of different types of religious ideas and platforms. I've studied extensively in two of them. And I kind of say that's maybe not my way. So you find your own way to take some time to be quiet, to enjoy yourself, to enjoy a clarity in your mind. And then I try to spend an hour or two a day, which is always a challenge, not connected to this platform, I'm very involved in many aspects of life. I love that about me. I'm gregarious, I'm interested, I'm teachable, and I can keep my mind so noisy that I can't hear what I think anymore. So and my new challenge will be to take time away from my phone. This is my what if I can do it. I'd like to do that better. I'd like to say it's very difficult for me. I'm tethered to it throughout my day, running my full-time practice as a medical intuitive, running this ginormous schedule. I have an employee on the other side of the world currently who does my online platform work in a different time zone. I have clients all over the world in different time zones. Even more reason to just say, all right, Kira, it's time to unplug. So doing that and finding time will be my next journey. It may mean just leaving my phone at home and going out to dinner. And maybe you'll try it too. So at this point in today's discussion on this edition of Navigating the Now, I want to introduce a segment. And the reason I came to this idea of a segment is I enjoy a great deal of political satire. Bill Maher, love, love, love that. The snippets and snipes of the late night comedians, my favorites. And I think humor is so important to us. So this is called light news. Um, so light news is me sharing a story that kind of brings you to understand how fragile I am, how human I am, and how unawake I am. That, I am a teacher of intuition, and my greatest understanding is I help you find yourself, and you are your own best teacher. So please join me in that anytime. Go to howweheal.site, find me, sign up for a session. I'm incredibly good at what I do, and I don't take myself very seriously. Life is something I was taught and continue to learn. Wear it like a loose cloth. Just wear it like a loose garment. So this part of this segment of the show, and maybe I'll get some graphics next time, is called Light News. In light of last week's show, I did see a tiny feathery owl at my holiday store. It was a very natural, but of course, fake feathered little baby owl. It called my name. I picked it up. I kind of stroked the fake fur. I walked around a store, halfway around this big store, thinking I'll buy this, and talked myself out of it. It was in a holiday display. Um, and I think they know, the stores know that we're unhappy because they're now pretty much all going right to Christmas. So I picked up this little happiness adult toy, walked around the store for a bit, and was able to talk myself out of the tchotchke. Tchotchkes means stuff, 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 stuff. And the way I talked myself out of it was I don't want to have to buy another cabinet or plastic bin to put it in. I did enjoy walking around the store with it, so I guess this is a penny saver. LOL, right? I'm saving you money. Pick up the toy or the photo or the comfort cashmere sweater, handle it, put it in your cart, walk around the store with it, and talk yourself out of it. Unless you really, really want it and will use it. That's my criteria. Probably going to go look at it again if it sticks with me. I give myself the entire week to go through that thought process. So, what do my listeners have in their view that makes them happy? What do you have? And we talked about this last week on our episode. What do you have that just is delightful and lovely and heartwarming? I've heard many of you got a cat. Easy maintenance, lots of coziness, not bad. A magnet for the crow, for the fridge. I have a crow. I love crows. This is my next animal favorite. I love black cats, crows, and owls. Pretty much every animal on the planet, but those are really close at heart. The crows I grew up with, they found me in Brooklyn when I lived in Park Slope many, many years ago, over 25 years ago. And when I moved upstate, I literally felt like the four crows I'd seen in Prospect Park on a daily basis when I walked my 2-year-old daughter there had followed me here and landed on the tree in front of my house upstate New York. So I, in fact, still find the crows are with me. The crow gathering, the grouping is called a murder, which I also thought was kind of appropriate for me. I think my life had kind of been blown apart at that point, and it was an ending and a beginning. So I called them the Four Directions, just like the group, right? Oh no, that's another name. The one my daughter likes. So sometimes I still see them, and they are my guardians. You get the idea. So anything that makes us smile right now is medicine. So keep bringing the medicine of delightful images and heartwarming experiences. So let's continue with comforts. I just heard that Leslie Jones, a comedian, has a new special coming up. I love comedy. I love edgy comedy. And just to tell everyone listening, she started her career at 47 on Saturday Night Live. And I like being reminded that at any age, we have a lot to contribute. And I'm way past 47, and here I am contributing. So I hope you get to contribute today in your world. Now, our new show segment, and I think this, is going to help me wrap this episode up. Things that make no sense, intuitive or not, is the title. I love this title because there's just nonsense everywhere. And want to call it out and have a little fun. Again, maybe this will become graphics next time. I just heard there was lead in some protein powders. Okay, everyone, read the labels. I did today. I bought a protein shake and I read the label in detail. I wonder if Tylenol is going to make it as a medicine, as an analgesic. Texas is suing them for hiding the drug, which they say is linked to autism, even though there's no proof. Okay. Bill Gates has softened his stance on the climate crisis. I want to know why. I really would like to know why. This makes no sense to me. So, navigating the now, staying in the present, enjoying where we are, and magnifying our essential human connection. So, I got a chance last week to talk to some people and they were all talking about AI. I had this positive experience with AI this morning where I said, go ahead and make a video with one photo I just sent you. And it did. And it was magnificent. So I am not going to sit here and say, um, we don't like AI, AI is terrible. I'm going to say we are learning to use it appropriately. Now, will it take our lives over? Will we seek social interactions on the internet that are we think are real? My age category, I would say no. Okay, a woman in her 60s, probably not, unless things get worse and I'm really isolated from the whole world, and then all bets are off. That I do have a partner, so I probably won't be on that experience. So navigating that, but AI, so there's AI, and now I want to introduce you to my intelligence, HI, human intelligence, intuitive intelligence. When I'm struggling, I don't run around expressing that to anyone I know. I process it. Process. It means I sit with it. I don't beat myself up about it. I don't expect an answer immediately. I don't even sometimes look for an answer. I just realize I'm struggling with something about me. Um, Let yourself be with you, all the elements of it, whatever comes up. Sometimes it's difficult just to stay present. It is so difficult. So, the tools I've given you today, you know, being patient with yourself, finding a fuzzy toy, adult healing toy, I call it, requiring those elements every day, spending 5 minutes in your clarity without a huge pressure of structure and investment of reading an entire book or going to a weekend retreat. Just spending 5 minutes with yourself every day is very powerful and very connecting. So I want to invite you to find me, contact me, go to howweheal.site. Ask, there's a line, there are line items for the pages. One of them is contact Kir, and write me what you do to keep your sanity, to stay grounded, to be in the now. There's more news that we could have talked about today. It's just ongoing. The silliness, the scarcity, the sadness, all of it. It's just everywhere. And then there's the simple truth that we can wake up and look outside and go, wow, there's nature in the world. And again, if you can't see grass, trees, or anything natural, look up at the sky. I think it's still there. All right. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I'll see you next week with our new segments and maybe some graphics.